So look, the big, beautiful bill is going to pass. You think if there's any hope in the House, you are sadly mistaken. These people live in absolute terror of Donald Trump. They know how bad this is. They know how politically disastrous this is. They get it. They just can't stop it. They just can't stop themselves. And so America needs to do a favor for the Republican Party now. Because here's the deal. In the House, the entire caucus are Trump people. The one or two little weird, except Thomas Massie, they're all Trump people in the end. In the Senate, they proved also, they're all Trump people, including Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, the good ones. They're still Trump people. They live in fear, politically and physically, of Trump and his mob. That's not an excuse. It's a reason, but not an excuse. So we need to do the Republicans a favor, because this bill is going to deliver vast, enormous economic pain to Americans. Now, I didn't come up with this phrase, but the fact that it's called MAGA-cade lately is for good reason. The people getting absolutely screwed by this bill are in red states and red districts. My God, Louisiana is going to get wiped out. These folks that in the MAGA cohort, in the MAGA demo, whatever you want to call it, as even Steve Bannon, who doesn't frequently agree with us, is saying, you're going to hurt Trump's voters the most with this bill. Trump's voters are the ones who are going to get hammered by this bill. Now, everyone else is too. But the degree to which this $1 trillion cut, $1 trillion, look, our social safety net in this country is not exactly luxurious. It's not exactly lavish. By global standards, it's frighteningly thin. This bill is run by the Vaught-Hotties of Project 2025 and all these goons that want to pass this portfolio of other Project 2025 and Trump executive power portions of the bill. It's run by the tech bros who wanted to get their ban on AI regulation in the bill. Which, by the way, when I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on something, on the fact that we shouldn't force states in a federal bill to say that states can't have any AI regulations. What about that 10th Amendment, guys? I seem to remember you pocket Constitution bros being big on that. But look, folks, this bill is a disaster. They know it's a disaster. I spoke to a Republican pollster today after I read this article in Puck. I'm like, I know a guy. I'm going to call a guy that I haven't talked to for a while. I'm going to take his temperature on this. Literally says to me, man, I hope we go to war with Iran because that's how bad this is. That's how bad this is. They know it. Their consultants know it. Their advisors know it. They know this bill is nothing but a loyalty test for Donald Trump. I mean, look, Trump doesn't want to pay taxes. He rarely does. But he's honestly agnostic about this sort of thing. What he's not agnostic about is the ritual humiliation of his own supporters. That's what this is about. Breaking the ones who aren't compliant. Humiliating the ones that aren't compliant. Threatening the ones who might think independently for themselves for even a millisecond about this vote. So they're going to vote for it in the House. It's going to pass. So here's the favor we're going to do the Republicans, because they are not emotionally capable of resisting Donald Trump. They just can't. I feel for them. They're not emotionally capable of doing it. And if you're not emotionally capable of being an independent voice for the people you supposedly represent in Congress, we need to do you a favor. We need to beat your ass in 2026. We need to remove 26 of those Republicans from the House and the Senate. And I only say the Senate because, man, North Carolina, oh, please let Mark Robinson and Laura Trump get in. That would be glorious. That's a state I think we can pick up. But in the House, there is now a call It's clear as a bell. The Republicans in these swing districts, they have voted for a political suicide pill. They have voted for a political poison. It's already in them. They can't get rid of it. They can't pretend it's not there. They can't pretend they didn't know what they were voting for. They knew what they were voting for. They understood what they were voting for. They were voting to send mom and dad back from the nursing home to move home. They were voting to kill those poor people who depend on Medicaid for dialysis. They were voting to take food away from those slacker 5-year-olds who just won't go down in the pits and meet their work requirements. The punitive nature of this, the cruelty of it, the shittiness of it, the overwhelming nastiness, cruelty, and meanness of it. It's a feature, not a bug. This is who they are as a party now. This is what they crave, which is to harm people who have less power than they do. But you have as much power or more than they do. You will hear stories soon from friends, from family members. Some of you may even be telling these stories to your family members, sadly, of people whose lives and whose independence are supported through Medicaid and Medicare. Seniors, the disabled, this $1 trillion cut that's coming. I asked a very smart analyst today. So tell me how much you think of that $1 trillion is really what waste, fraud, and abuse? Because that's the talking point the pollsters for the Republicans have developed. It's all waste, fraud, and abuse. It's guys sitting on the couch playing video games. So I asked this guy, a very experienced government analyst type. I said, what do you think in that $1 trillion? How much of it do you think is actual fraud, waste, and abuse? And he said, 25, 30, $50 billion tops. And nobody in the world objects to that. But you can't, they haven't identified what it is. They haven't clarified what it is. They've made up this boogeyman, as they always do from their catalog of imaginary demons, to pretend that it's always fraud and abuse. And that $1 trillion is all because some guy's sitting at home playing video games and illegal aliens are getting Medicaid. Folks, rural hospitals are going to close. Senior citizens are going to die. Kids are going to go hungry. This is a shameful moment. But because our friends in the Republican Party couldn't handle it, they couldn't stand up for the truth. They couldn't stand up for what was right. They couldn't do what was right. We need to do them a favor and take them out of office. We need to remove them from Congress. We need to defeat them at the ballot box. In the meantime, we need to pressure them, humiliate them, drive them as hard as you possibly can in this moment to remind voters over and over again that those Republicans don't represent their districts or their constituents or their people. They represent Trump. They only work for Trump. They don't care about anyone and anything else except Donald Trump. They proved it with this bill over and over and over again. They demonstrated it so clearly with this bill. So, folks, the Lincoln Project, we are going to keep kicking their ass. We're going to keep doing what we do. I modestly like to think better than almost anybody else. We're going to keep showing you the messaging. We're going to keep articulating how to fight this monstrosity. And that, by the monstrosity, not just this bill, but Trumpism, and the MAGA movement. We're going to lay out a pathway for 26 and 26. We're going to try to go out and work in 26 of these races in 2026. We're going to try to beat as many of these bastards as we can. Because the minute we flip the House, all of this stops. Every bit of it. We've got to have a plan and a program. We've got to talk about affordability and compassion. We've got to talk about the harm being done to people. We've got to talk about the insanity of this moment to the American people. But I believe 26 seats can be taken from the Republicans in the House and maybe the Senate in 2026. We hope you'll join us. It's going to be a hell of a ride, hell of a fight. We need you with us. Talk to you soon.